Hello! Believe it or not, this is one of my exciting bits of the week when you decide to ask questions. And I get a little bit nervous because I'm thinking, which angles are they coming from? And to be honest, the quality of the questions is amazing. And this is relevant because of one of the things we're going to be talking about today. Without further ado, these are the questions that we've chosen for Ask Guillem today. At Darren Loftus, he's saying, is there any real chance of Manchester City or PSG getting punished for the FIFA fair play? A lot of things to say about that. Firstly, I would rather have a judgment, a conclusion after a case, a court case, even a sports court case taking place. I've seen what's been published, and it's very damning to Manchester City. Manchester City are saying it's clearly a campaign against them. I think there is more to it than that, but it has to be proven, not only by an article which has been quite clearly well researched, but also by putting all the things on the table. Obviously, Der Spiegel has got a huge amount of documentation. What they got was a selection of it. Perhaps more documentation will actually prove that they're absolutely right in the accusations they throw in at Manchester City and PSG. Perhaps it just gives us a different conclusion, but we cannot reach the end of that unless we know what's truth. And that's where UEFA, FIFA, both of them, have to take a stand and investigate. They have to look at this in detail. You cannot leave an institution like UEFA, like FIFA, the Premier League, Manchester City cannot continue in the same level of respect from everybody unless everything is shown to be false, half false, truth, whatever. We need to reach that conclusion by seeing all the evidence. That's the first thing to say. Secondly, if it's true what has been said, the rules are there to be followed by everybody. And if Manchester City and PSG did not follow the rules that they adhered to, rules that they said they will respect, even though they may not agree with it. And that's a completely different argument, of course. Financial fair play, what is it for? Is it actually managing to keep the status quo as it is, stopping others coming in with a new investment? Completely different argument. But what's quite clear is that if what's been published is absolutely true, then of course they have to be punished. And they have had to jump a lot of obstacles to get to where they are, no doubt about it, but it should have been following the rules. More things to say. I don't know what to think about football leagues, to be honest. As a concept, the idea that clubs and institutions have been hacked and information have been stolen, and from there, even though Der Spiegel is not saying that, it's very strange if it doesn't come from that source. And if it does, what do we have to think of that? Are we saying this is a legitimate way of getting information? Because if we are, we're opening the doors to many other things. So I'm not sure what to think of it. Another one, of course, this is going to be used by non-Manchester City fans as a stick against Manchester City. And I tell you, if it's true what has been published, then it's logical that that's the case. But also against Pep Guardiola. And I say, have your day if you want. I will insist with the idea that we're seeing something special with Pep Guardiola in the way he prepares players and or improves players and prepares teams. Something very, very special. Whoever doesn't want to see it, it's up to them. You cannot convince everybody. I will still insist on the idea that on the pitch what happens certainly helped by very good players, but which other top team hasn't got very good players that cost a lot of money? They all go that way because they need to, and doesn't take away an inch in my eyes of what Pep Guardiola is doing with Barcelona, with Bayern Munich, with Manchester City, with football. Because if it's all down to money, and if now the accusations to Pep Guardiola is, of course you had so much money, you always win. Well, he didn't last season, did he? So the improvement comes from the coaching, comes from a special man that is leading all that. That, to me, has got no argument whatsoever. The rest is tribalism. And again, More on that a little bit later. At Mr. David N. Wood says, what have you made of Bielsa's Leeds team so far? Have you seen them play yet? I haven't seen them play, not live, not at Ellen Road, but I've seen them play on television, and what I see is a Bielsa team. Marking, running after the ball, tracking back, a lot of effort. And by the way, if you don't do that effort, you're out of the team. And to be honest, it's all very modern in the way it gets put in practice, because it's just so many teams that do it now, but he's been doing it for a long, long while. My fear has always been with Leeds that if the board understands what has been done, it will be respected even when things don't go so right. But also, will the players accept such an intensity? It's a long season. The championship is a long season. I cannot believe that Bielsa knows what is needed in terms of how far he can take the players until he's finished a full season with Leeds. But it is exciting. I still want to go. There's many reasons why I haven't been able to, but not to be explained here. But yes, I want to go and I want to enjoy Leeds. It just still is a fascinating experiment in my eyes. Irish Leaving at Living Island says, will La Liga suffer most by a Super League if it happens? First thing to say about the Super League is that there was a plan that fell through. Now there was a suggestion of another plan, but hasn't gone far. And I sense there is a division of those that think it would be exciting to have a Super League as long as the domestic leagues don't suffer. Well, what will happen straight away if there is a European Super League is that the leagues, the domestic leagues, will have to reduce the number of teams to make sure that the calendar matches. I'm pretty sure that's what will happen. It will increase the competitiveness of any domestic league if there is less games and less teams involved, I think. But I can see different reactions in different countries. I can see that in Spain, the Europa League, the European Super League will actually be seen as a move forward. It's logical that the top teams meet each other more often. That's what most people would say, I feel. In England, they will be affected by it because the Premier League, it's not only the bread and butter, it's what really excites people, even ahead of the Champions League. So we'll see different reactions in different countries, but I don't think the Spanish League will be the most affected. I don't see why that would be the case. I can see how Barcelona and Madrid will still have two strong teams, and the competition still is amazing, as you can see this season, and as it's been every season. The reason why Barcelona and Madrid for a long while were the only ones winning the titles is because imagine a league with a Manchester City, like the Manchester City of last year, but having two of them in the same league. It will be one or the other, won't it? It doesn't mean the rest is bad. It just means that they are so good and ahead of everybody else. And that's why, by the way, they also shared the spoils in the Champions League most of those years. So I think still be a competitive league. The way it's been pushed on by certain teams with a clear idea of money behind it sounds wrong to me. And all of a sudden, we may see UEFA trying to defend a competition that distributes the money a little bit more evenly. I mean, many people may start seeing UEFA, who will defend Championship to continue, of course, as the good guys in this battle to gain more money. Just wait and see. Anyway, Fionn Duffield at Fionn Duffield says, where will Espanyol finish this season? Your head, not your heart. So far, it's a great start. And it is. It's a fantastic start. I love what Espanyol is doing. With Ruby, we started to feel that something special is taking place. Whatever we end up, something special. I was talking to the head of communications of Espanyol, Rafa Ramos, and he was saying, in 21 years I've been here, only 5 years I've actually but felt it was a calm season. A season where you saw Espanyol in the top places. And it has been like that for the last 2 decades. So I hope it's a top six. I think there will be a drop in quality. Remember, it's only a squad of 22 players, the same players more or less than last season, plus Borja Iglesias and Rosales, the right back who's hardly played anyway. So not many changes, and the same guys needed to enjoy football a bit more after the disappointment of last season. It's happening. It's direct. It feels a little bit like what Klopp used to do with Borussia Dortmund, perhaps 1 or 2 gears less in terms of the intensity, but that's what they do. Directness when they get the ball, and a lot of running to get the ball back. Exciting. 5 victories at home, only 1 goal conceded. And yes, we haven't seen this for a long while, so I hope it's a top 6 finish. I don't think it'll be a top 4 though. What else? Is there anything in Wenger to Milan? Has Madrid ever considered Wenger? That comes from Il Capo Soprano. Yes, there is something about AC Milan and Wenger. It doesn't mean that he's going to take it. He certainly is looking for an opportunity. Real Madrid did not consider him, but yes, AC Milan have made a call to Arsene Wenger. We have to see though what he is after, what kind of club he's after, one that he can build. Not only for the first team, but as he has a clear idea that of how a club should be run, or if he just wants to come to an emergency situation like Milan may be. To be honest, any club that he will take right now will be an emergency situation. But to a club, say Monaco, for instance, that needs a complete rebuilding, does he want to do that? Does he want to actually do just the saving of the team? And I do believe that he wants the first option, the ability to actually influence the whole club. So unless he gets given that opportunity, you won't see Arsene Wenger coming to the benches very quickly. If he does, he'll be happy to take the hit of a season that will be bad. It'll be difficult to make AC Milan perhaps a top 4 challengers maybe. But if he gets the opportunity to run more than just the first team, then you'll see him there. And Pauli says, what are your short-term and long-term goals in your new role as Middlesbrough United's chairman? Yes, been named chairman this week. And this is a club that is growing very fast in 4 years. And also we find ourselves a little bit stuck. We cannot grow anymore because of facilities. So clearly there is a twofold brief here. One, to make sure that the structures are in place at the club to make it sound, that it doesn't depend on results, that doesn't depend on the first team doing well. That is a club that has got a strong academy, but to do that, you need the right people in the right places doing the right jobs, and that would be the first thing to do. And also, I would love to have more volunteers to help us, more hands and eyes and minds to help us grow. So on that, there will be a meeting at the clubhouse on Monday evening. I think it's 7:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. Come over if you want to help us. There'll be the opportunity to hear from you how you want the club to go, and what you can offer to it if you want to. And then we have to push on with the idea of either building a new stadium or having new facilities, because right now we're stuck where we are. We need a 3G pitch, and that's the second part of my brief. So I am very excited about this, as you can imagine. Being involved with a football club, even at Middlesbrough United level, is one of the most exciting things I've ever done. So this is like another step in that journey. So thank you for the opportunity, board. Ben Golding asked a very interesting question, and that's the questions we've been getting. Interesting. At Golding Ben, he says, with the storm building surrounding football leagues, what are the main concerns for the more modern football fans? And I've been thinking a lot about this one, because the first thing I can think of is that we're becoming, because of social media, we become more extreme. That's what the algorithm of football, of Facebook, of Twitter are forcing us to be. Short messages, Facebook delivering to us news that match the way we think, which makes us a smaller group. You end up just reading and listening to what you want to read or listen, and then completely ignore the opposite view, and you see that as the enemies, not somebody that you can find a common ground with. So that extremism, it's affecting the way we think about football as well. I've had in my mind always the idea that we're 12-year-olds as football fans. We don't grow after that. We just see it all black and white, and more than ever, no grace. So with that in mind, football clubs, I know they used to look at social media as a place to sense how fans were thinking, what their opinions were. Not anymore. They're just seen as a number, as a possibility of actually go to a brand and says, look, we've got 10 million followers or whatever it is. And we created that ourselves because we haven't found a new forum to actually discuss things properly. By not having a forum, we don't have any power as fans. And certainly because the financial influence of fans still is remote and it's becoming in a way smaller compared to the money that comes from television, from sponsorship, etc. That means that we won't be heard. So perhaps the biggest worry is that our voice won't exist. We will just be people that shout, yeah or no, and that's it. Just extremes and customers. So that is the main worry. Perhaps we should find a new platform in which we can actually influence clubs and be able to direct them a little bit. Obviously, football fans are just part of the whole equation, but I do believe that in the way, if you go down to mentions, whatever you say on Twitter, the tribalism, it's acute and it doesn't help to create, with the voice of fans, a force. There are, I know, groups there that want to be heard and want to act properly as well to be heard, but we're still a long way to go from clubs to listen to us. So that's it for this week. There'll be more, I'm sure, next week. And thank you very much for the interesting questions. They're getting more and more of them, and it's a shame not to have time to answer them all. But let's keep talking. Bye.